Dad's 66th birthday was supposed to feel warm, familiar, safe. Instead, I walked into a room full of people smiling too hard, talking too loudly, pretending our family wasn't stitched together with tension. The moment Brandon showed up late, as always, the air shifted. It always did. "Sorry we're late," he announced, kissing Mom on the cheek like he was returning from a heroic mission. Lindsay followed, hair perfect, smile perfect, hand on Brandon's arm like he was the center of gravity. Mom lit up the way she never lit up for me. "Brandon, sweetheart, we were just waiting for you." I took my seat at the far end of the table. No one noticed. Brandon lifted his wine glass. "Dad, I have something special to share tonight." The room hushed. Dad's eyes softened hopeful. Maybe. Mine tightened. "We're planning a big move," Brandon said. "Better schools for the kids, safer neighborhood, more space, a real upgrade." Aunt Valerie clapped. Uncle George nodded like he was approving a business pitch. "That sounds wonderful," Mom breathed. "Just wonderful." Brandon glanced at me for half a second, then away, as if the idea of including me in the conversation simply didn't compute. Lindsay leaned in. "And it will be good for the whole family," she added gently, her tone soft but sharpened with something colder beneath. "Especially for Emma." I looked up. "Especially for me." "Well," Lindsay said carefully, "you have been regrouping. This might give you the little push you need." There it was, the passive-aggressive encouragement Americans had perfected. Mom chimed in, "Honey, we love you, but you cannot live here forever. You need to fly." "You know," Dad cleared his throat, "Emma has helped a lot since my stroke." "Yes, but she cannot stay dependent," Brandon said, smiling the way people smile when they think they are being wise. "She is 33. Mom, most people her age have their own place, their own life." A few relatives murmured in agreement. My chest tightened. I had spent months cooking for Dad, organizing his meds, driving him to appointments, all invisible, all dismissed. "So," Brandon continued, "this move, it is best for everyone." I swallowed hard. "And what exactly happens to me when you sell the house?" The table went silent. Brandon lifted a brow. "Emma, you will figure it out. You always land on your feet." He said it like he meant the opposite. Lindsay smiled sympathetically. "It will all work out. These things do." Their words stung, the way casual cruelty always does when wrapped in politeness. I pushed back my chair. "Excuse me, I need a moment." No one stopped me. No one asked if I was okay. As I stepped outside, I caught myself thinking of anyone listening who had ever felt invisible at their own family table. If you have ever been talked over or pushed aside, you know exactly how this moment felt. And if you're still here with me, keep listening. Things were about to break wide open. When I walked back inside, the conversation had already shifted without me smoothly, effortlessly, as if my absence created more space for the discussion to bloom. Brandon was standing now, hands moving like he was presenting at one of his real estate seminars. "So, the house we want is in Ridgewood Heights. Great schools, bigger yard, a real upgrade. But to make the numbers work, we need to streamline things." Mom nodded eagerly. "Streamline?" "Yes, that makes sense," Uncle George asked. "What are you thinking?" "Exactly." Brandon smiled, perfectly confident. "We sell this house. The market is strong. We could easily get around $640,000. That becomes our down payment." Dad blinked. "Sell the house." "Yes," Brandon said, "it is the smartest move. And it brings the whole family closer. You and Mom come live with us. Built-in support, built-in childcare, more stability for everyone. But this house..." Dad's voice wavered. Lindsay stepped forward with a soft, calming tone. "Frank, we are offering you comfort, security. You would not have to worry about a thing," Aunt Valerie murmured. "It does sound practical. Then Brandon added, almost casually, "Plus, it is time Emma stood on her own. She is 33. She should not rely on you two forever." Mom looked at him, then at me, hesitating only a second. "Well, he is not wrong." My throat tightened. "You talked about selling the house before saying anything to me." Brandon shrugged. "It is a family decision. I am part of this family." "You are," he said, "but you are also stuck. This will push you to grow. You cannot keep hiding here." "Hiding," I whispered. Brandon softened his voice like he was doing me a favor. "Emma, this is what responsibility looks like." And just like that, I understood. They had made plans for their future, their comfort, their image, and not one piece of it included me. I stepped away from the table again, but this time the room seemed to follow me, voices rising, laughter carrying, everyone settling back into conversation as if nothing seismic had just shifted. Aunt Valerie called after me half-heartedly, "Emma, sweetie, do not take it personally. Families evolve." I didn't answer. I walked toward the hallway, but Brandon's voice chased me like a hook. "See? She shuts down the moment things get real." Lindsay sighed, all gentle disappointment. "She is overwhelmed." "Brandon, some people struggle with change." Mom added softly, "We just want you to be independent." Honey, independent. The word scraped against everything I had been doing for Dad since his stroke, every appointment. Every night I stayed awake listening for him. Every bill I paid without asking for help. I turned back. "You talk like I have done nothing here." Brandon exhaled through a laugh. "Emma, you moved back in after your divorce. You needed time." "That is fine, but it has been over a year. 1 year caring for Dad." I said, 1 year keeping this house running. "And yet," he replied, tone light but cutting, "nothing in your life has moved forward." Something inside me snapped. Dad opened his mouth, but Mom touched his arm, stopping him from speaking. That hurt more than anything Brandon had said. Lindsay tried again. Her voice dipped in sympathy. "Emma, we are trying to help you. You cannot expect your parents to carry you forever." I stared at her. "I never asked them to carry me." Brandon shook his head. "You are in denial. This move is happening. You will find a place. People your age manage all the time." The dismissal washed over me like cold water. I stepped back toward the door. "If you are going to make decisions about my life," I said quietly, "then I am going to make a call of my own." Mom frowned. A call I swallowed hard. Yes, to someone who actually listens. And with that, I walked outside into the cold evening air, pulled out my phone, and dialed the only person I knew would answer. The night air hit my face as I stepped onto the porch, but it was not cold enough to numb the sting in my chest. I scrolled to the name I had been holding onto like a lifeline for almost a year and pressed call. Daniel Reeves answered on the second ring. "Emma, everything all right, no?" I said. My voice shook, but I kept it steady enough. "I need you to pull the latest property records for my parents' house, the one we put under Clearview Haven last year." There was a pause, brief, sharp. Daniel was too smart not to hear the urgency. "Are you worried something changed on the title?" "I am worried my brother is about to promise a house he does not own to a realtor and an entire room of people." I said quietly, "I need everything. Chain of title, liens, foreclosure filings, and I need it tonight." His tone shifted, crisp and professional. "Give me 20 minutes. I will log into the Larimer County system and scan for recent activity." "Thank you." I breathed. "And Emma," he added, "you knew this day might come. I hoped it wouldn't." I said. When I hung up, the porch felt smaller. A memory surfaced 11 months ago, sitting in this same spot with Dad asleep inside, hospital bracelet still on his wrist. That night, sorting through the pile of unopened mail, I found the first foreclosure notice. A month later, the second. Then the letter saying the bank had scheduled an auction date. Mom had insisted they were working something out, but the payments they managed were too little. Too late. They were drowning quietly, hoping no one would notice. So I stepped in. I used the divorce settlement $540,000 to form Clearview Haven, bid at the auction, and buy the house outright. Title transferred to the LLC under my name. And I never told them. Not because I wanted control, because pride can crush people faster than debt. My phone buzzed. Daniel. "All right," he said. "I pulled everything. The title is clean. Clearview Haven is the sole owner. No new liens. And Emma, your brother already contacted a realtor. I just sent cease and desist notices to every agency in a 10-mile radius." A tight breath escaped me. "You are a miracle. I am an attorney who knows your brother's type," he replied. "Check your email. I sent the full ownership packet. If you are about to confront them, you need these." "I am." "Then go make sure they hear you." I ended the call and opened the email. Page after page of documents, foreclosure history, auction records, the deed with my signature, proof I never wanted to use. Voices from inside drifted out laughter, plans, excitement about a future built on a house they believed was theirs. I closed the email, steadying myself. Tonight, the truth was coming inside with me. When I walked back inside, the house sounded louder than before. Voices layered on top of one another, full of energy, full of plans that were never meant to include me. No one noticed I had been gone long enough to make a phone call that could alter every conversation taking place in that room. Brandon was at the center of it all. Of course. He always managed to be. "So, picture this," he said, arms wide like he was unveiling a luxury listing, a backyard twice this size, space for a pool, maybe even a fire pit area. Ridgewood Heights has everything we need. It is perfect. Lindsay nodded eagerly. "I already have ideas for the kitchen, maybe white oak cabinets, an island, pendant lighting, something bright and modern." Aunt Valerie laughed. "You two sound like you are building a palace." "We deserve one," Lindsay replied lightly. Mom clapped her hands once. "I cannot wait to see it." "Oh, Brandon, it is going to be beautiful." I slid into an empty chair. No one paused. No one asked where I had been. Uncle George pointed at the floor plan Brandon had drawn on a napkin. "And your parents' suite goes here." "Right," Brandon said. "Ground floor, close to everything. They will not have to worry about stairs." And Emma Dad asked quietly. A beat. A subtle shift. Then Brandon smiled, indulgent and dismissive. "She will figure something out." That sentence tightened something inside me. Lindsay added softly, "It might be good for her. A new start." I leaned forward. "A new start for who?" "Because so far, everything I have heard is a start for you." Brandon raised an eyebrow. Amused. "Emma, this is progress. You should embrace it." Dad looked between us, unsure, caught in a loyalty he did not know how to navigate. I placed my phone face down on the table, the stack of legal documents waiting inside. "Brandon," I said, voice steady, "before you make any more plans, there is something all of you need to hear." This time, the room actually went silent. Brandon leaned back in his chair like I had interrupted a board meeting he was leading. "All right, Emma," he said with a smirk. "What is this big announcement? Are you finally moving out?" Lindsay let out a soft laugh, quickly covering it with her hand. I kept my voice even. "This house cannot be part of your plans." Mom blinked at me. "What do you mean?" "Honey, I said carefully, "you cannot sell it." Brandon let out a dramatic breath. "Emma, we already talked about this. You do not get to veto a family decision. It is not a family decision," I said. "It is a guess based on an assumption. And that assumption is wrong." A low murmur rippled through the room. Dad frowned. Emma, what are you talking about? I reached for my phone and opened the email Daniel had sent. Before anyone talks about selling this house, you should know who actually owns it. Mom stiffened. We own it. Your father and I, this is our home. I looked her in the eyes. It used to be. A stunned silence fell. Brandon scoffed. Do not do this. Do not make a scene. We know you are overwhelmed. But overwhelmed, I snapped. You are planning to sell something that is not yours. A hush, a vibration under the surface, ready to crack. Dad's voice cracked. Emma, what do you mean it is not ours? I turned the screen toward them. The house was foreclosed almost 1 year ago. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. No, we worked something out with the bank. They said you could make smaller payments. I replied softly, but it was not enough. They moved forward anyway. Dad shook his head. That cannot be right. We never got a final notice. You did, I said gently, but you were both dealing with Dad's stroke. You missed things, and the bank did not wait. Aunt Valerie whispered. Oh, my gosh. Brandon stood abruptly. So what? The bank sold it and someone bought it. Great. That means we have to move even faster. Stop! My voice cut through the room, the sharpest it had ever been. Everyone looked at me. I held up the phone again. The buyer at the auction was a company called Clearview Haven. Dad swallowed hard. And who? Who is that? I took a breath that felt like stepping off a ledge. It is me, I said. I created the company. I used my divorce settlement, $540,000, to buy the house and pay off the debt. Mom's knees buckled, and she dropped into her chair. Emma, why would you do all that and not tell us? Because you were embarrassed, I said. And Dad was recovering, and the last thing you needed was to feel like you had failed. A chorus of reactions exploded. Aunt Valerie, she saved your home. Uncle George, without telling anyone, Lindsay, you hid this from the family. Brandon, this is unbelievable. He stepped toward me, red-faced. You bought the house to control them. No, I said. I bought it so you would not lose everything. Brandon shook with anger. You expect us to live in a house you secretly own? You made fools of us. You made fools of yourselves, I said quietly, by assuming everything you wanted mattered more than the truth. Brandon pointed at Mom and Dad. This is manipulation, and I will not let her get away with it. He drew a hard breath. Then the ultimatum dropped like a grenade. Mom, Dad, choose your successful son or your unstable daughter who cannot even be honest about owning a house. The room froze. Faces tightened. Breathing stopped. That was the moment every buried wound in our family split open at once, and there was no going back. For a long moment, no one breathed. Brandon stood there with his chest puffed out, convinced he held every card on the table. Mom looked shattered. Dad looked older than I had ever seen him. Dad, Brandon pressed, this is simple. You choose the child who has her life together, or the one who has been hiding things and dragging you down. Mom whispered, Brandon, stop. No, he snapped. This is the truth. Dad pushed his chair back slowly. The sound scraped across the floor like a warning. He rose to his feet, shoulders trembling not with weakness, but with something sharper. Brandon, he said, voice low. Do you have any idea what your sister has done for this family? Brandon blinked. She lied. Dad took a step closer. She saved our home, while I was in a hospital bed, while we were drowning in bills, while you were too busy bragging about new listings and open houses. Brandon's jaw tightened. So you are choosing her. Dad's eyes never left his. I am choosing the child who showed up. Mom stood, wiping tears from her cheeks. We failed her, she whispered. We did not see what she was carrying, but she carried us. Brandon let out a bitter laugh. You are making a mistake. And when this blows up, do not expect me to fix anything. Lindsay touched his arm. Brandon, let it go. No, he snapped, yanking away. He pointed at me, finger shaking. You want her fine. Keep her. Do not call me when you regret it. He grabbed Lindsay's purse and stormed toward the door. Lindsay followed without looking back. The room stayed quiet long after the front door slammed, as if the house itself was exhaling for the first time in years. When the echo of the slammed door finally faded, the house felt hollow, like the air itself was unsure what came next. Mom sat heavily at the table, hands trembling. Dad lowered himself beside her, rubbing his forehead as if trying to process the last 10 minutes. I stood there, unsure if I should speak or stay silent. Mom looked up first. Emma, she whispered, why did you not tell us? I swallowed. Because you were already dealing with Dad's stroke. Because you were ashamed of the foreclosure. Because I did not want you to feel like you had failed. Dad shook his head. We should have known something was wrong. We should have paid attention. You were sick, I said gently, and everything happened fast. I just stepped in. Mom reached for my hand. We treated you like a burden when you were the one holding everything together. Her grip tightened. I am sorry, she said. Truly. Dad nodded, voice thick. I am sorry too. We did not see you. We saw what we wanted to see. His words hit deeper than any of Brandon's had. I took a shaky breath. I never bought the house to control you. I bought it so you would not lose your home, so Dad could recover without worrying, so both of you could stay safe. Mom wiped her eyes. And you will keep living here with us. You are not leaving. I sat down beside her. I bought it for the family. That is all I ever wanted it to be. Dad placed his hand over both of ours, his voice steadying. Then tonight is a new start. For the three of us. For the first time all evening, the room felt like it belonged to us again. Not perfect, not healed, but honest. 3 weeks passed before Brandon's name finally appeared on my phone. I almost let it ring out. Almost. When I answered, his voice was nothing like the one that had filled Dad's birthday dinner. It was smaller, tired, human. Emma, he said quietly, I need to talk to you. I didn't say anything. I let the silence pull the truth out of him. I was wrong, he finally admitted, about the house, about you, about everything. I sat down slowly. What changed? A shaky exhale. My business took a hit. A big one. The house sale was supposed to cover debts I have been hiding. I was desperate, and I took it out on you. His honesty hit harder than his anger ever had. I cannot fix what I said that night, he continued, but I want to start over. Mom misses me. The kids miss their grandparents. And I miss my sister. I closed my eyes. If we are going to heal this, Brandon, there have to be boundaries. Anything, he said immediately. You apologize to Mom and Dad. You stop treating me like a failure, and you never make decisions about someone else's home again. A long pause. Then, done. For the first time, I believed him. A month later, Dad and I sat on the front porch at sunset. He watched the yard like he was seeing it for the first time in years. You know, he said softly, I spent so long thinking success was money, a bigger house, a better job, things I thought Brandon had. I looked over, and now, he smiled, tired but clearer than before. Now I know success is showing up. It is sacrifice. It is love when no one is watching. By that measure, you are the most successful person in this family. The words settled in my chest, warm and steady. I just did what was needed. I said, that is what makes it matter, he replied. We sat quietly, letting the moment breathe. And if someone listening has ever been the one holding everything together without being seen, stay with me. Your story matters more than you think.